So, Sarah, what do you do for fun?
Well, I really enjoy reading. I love getting lost in a good book. It helps me relax after a long day at work. I work in a busy office, so it's nice to have some quiet time. How about you?
I'm a big fan of hiking. I love exploring new trails and enjoying nature. Being outside makes me feel refreshed. I work mostly indoors, so getting some fresh air is important to me.
That sounds amazing. I've always wanted to try hiking, but I'm not very fit. I usually just stay at home and watch TV, or maybe meet friends for dinner.
It's a great way to get in shape. You don't have to go crazy at first. We could start with some easy trails and gradually increase the difficulty. There are some lovely short walks near the river, perfect for beginners.
That sounds like fun. Maybe we could go hiking together sometime. When would be a good time for you?
I'm free most weekends. How about next Saturday afternoon? The weather forecast looks good.
Perfect. That works for me. What should I wear? I don't have any special hiking gear.
Just something comfortable. Jeans and a t-shirt are fine. And maybe some good walking shoes or trainers. Nothing too fancy.
Okay, I have those. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be nice to get out of the city for a bit.
Me too. I know a great spot near the lake. We could have a picnic afterwards. I can bring some sandwiches and drinks. I make a mean tuna sandwich.
That would be perfect. I love picnics. Maybe I can bring some fruit or a cake. I make a pretty good chocolate cake.
That would be great. Chocolate cake sounds delicious. So, what kind of books do you like to read? You mentioned reading earlier.
I'm a big fan of fantasy novels. I love stories with magic and mythical creatures. They're a great escape from reality. It's nice to imagine different worlds sometimes.
I've never really read fantasy, but I'm open to trying it. Do you have any recommendations?
Sure, I can lend you my favorite book. It's called The Hobbit. It's a really good starting point for fantasy. It's not too long, and the story is very engaging. It's by J.R.R. Tolkien.
Great. I'll look forward to reading it. I've heard of it, but never actually picked it up. Everyone talks about Lord of the Rings, but I don't know much about The Hobbit.
It's the prequel. It's a great adventure story. I think you'll enjoy it. It's a classic. Have you seen any good films lately?
I saw a really funny comedy last week. It was called Paddington 2. Have you seen it?
Oh, yes, I loved that film. It was so heartwarming. The bear is so cute.
It was. I agree. The marmalade sandwiches are a nice touch too. So, we've got a hike planned, a book to read, and we both like Paddington 2. We have a lot in common.
It seems we do. This has been a really nice chat. I wasn't expecting to make plans for a hike today. I work in marketing. I create social media content and manage online advertising campaigns. It can be quite stressful at times, but I enjoy the creative aspect of it.
That sounds interesting. I work in IT. I'm a software developer, so quite different from marketing.
Yes, very different. But it's good to learn about other people's jobs. It broadens your horizons.
Definitely. So, just to confirm, Saturday afternoon for the hike?
Yes, Saturday afternoon is perfect. What time and where should we meet?
How about 2 p.m. at the entrance to Riverside Park? It's easy to find.
Perfect. I'll see you there.
Hi Sarah, how are you doing today?
Hi, Mark. I'm pretty good, thanks. A little tired, actually. Had a really long day at work.
Oh, what do you do?
I'm a teacher. I teach English to teenagers. It's challenging, but I really enjoy it. It's definitely never dull. There's always something new happening.
That's interesting. I've always admired teachers. It seems like a very rewarding job, even though I imagine it can be quite demanding. I work in IT. It's quite different, more about logic and problem solving. Less interaction with people, more with machines.
IT. What kind of IT work do you do?
I'm a systems analyst. I help companies figure out what kind of computer systems they need. It can be quite technical. Sometimes I feel like I speak a different language. Like when I'm explaining cloud computing to someone who just uses their computer for email. They look at me like I'm from Mars. It can be frustrating sometimes trying to bridge that gap in understanding.
I can imagine. Computers aren't my strong point. I can send emails and browse the internet, but that's about it. My students are much better at it than me. They're always showing me new apps and websites, things I've never even heard of. It's like they're growing up in a completely different world. Sometimes I feel like I need to take a course just to keep up with them.
Everything changes so quickly, doesn't it? It's hard to keep up. So, do you enjoy teaching teenagers? They can be a handful, I've heard.
They can be, but they're also really funny and energetic. It's great to see them learn and grow, especially when you see that spark of understanding in their eyes, that aha moment. It's definitely not boring. What about you? Do you enjoy your work?
Most of the time, yes. It can be stressful sometimes, especially when there's a big problem to solve, like a system crashing right before a big presentation. That's happened to me more than once. It's a race against time to get everything back online. But I like the challenge. And I enjoy working with my team. We have a good laugh sometimes, which makes a big difference. We often go for a pub quiz after work. We're not very good, but we have fun. It's a good way to unwind after a long week.
That sounds fun. Teamwork is important, isn't it? In teaching, too, I work with a great team of teachers. We support each other and share ideas. It makes the job so much easier. We often go out for coffee after school. We even have a little book club just for the teachers. We're all quite different, but we get on really well. We have a good mix of personalities, which makes it interesting.
That's nice. It's good to have colleagues you get along with. So, what do you do in your free time, Sarah?
Sarah, I love to read. I'm in a book club, actually. We meet once a month to discuss a book. It's a great way to discover new authors and meet new people. We're reading a really interesting novel at the moment. It's a historical fiction set in Victorian England. It's all about social class and the lives of ordinary people, the struggles they faced at Tiananmen. That sounds interesting. I like to read too, but I haven't been in a book club before. I usually just read at home. I also play the guitar.
A bit of everything, actually. Mostly rock and blues. I've been playing for about 10 years. I even tried to write my own songs, but I'm not very good at it. I can play a few chords, but the lyrics are terrible. They're usually about heartbreak and lost love, even though I've never been heartbroken. It's all very dramatic.
Wow, that's a long time. I've always wanted to learn an instrument, but I've never had the time. My sister plays the piano beautifully. She's really talented. She can play Chopin like a dream. She even gives piano lessons. Maybe I should ask her for some lessons.
You should try it. It's a great way to relax and de-stress. Maybe you could join a guitar class. Or maybe start with something easier, like the ukulele. My friend learned to play the ukulele in just a few weeks. It's quite a forgiving instrument. It's a good place to start if you've never played an instrument before.
Maybe I will. I also enjoy going for walks in the park. It's a nice way to get some fresh air and exercise, especially after a long day in the classroom dealing with teenage hormones. They can be so unpredictable. One minute they're happy, the next they're moody. Yes, I have a cat called Whiskers. He's very fluffy and lazy. He sleeps most of the day. He's a rescue cat, actually. We found him abandoned in the street when he was just a kitten. He was so tiny. He was all skin and bones.
That's nice. I've always wanted a dog, but my apartment is too small. Maybe one day when I have a bigger place. I like going to the cinema too. Have you seen any good films recently?
Actually, yes. I saw the new superhero movie last week. It was really exciting, with lots of special effects. A bit too much CGI, if you ask me. I also enjoy watching documentaries, especially nature documentaries. I love learning about animals and different ecosystems.
Me too. I love documentaries about nature and history. There's a great documentary about ancient Egypt on TV at the moment. Have you seen it? It's all about the pharaohs and the pyramids, and the everyday lives of ordinary Egyptians. It really brings history to life.
No, I haven't. I'll have to look out for it. I'm fascinated by ancient Egypt. I've always wanted to visit Egypt and see the pyramids for myself. It's on my bucket list. Well, Mark, it's been lovely chatting with you. I should probably get going. I have to prepare for my classes tomorrow. I'm teaching a lesson about Shakespeare. We're doing Hamlet. It's always a challenge to get them interested in Shakespeare. They think it's boring and old-fashioned.
It was great talking to you too, Sarah. Maybe we could meet up again sometime and go for a walk in the park? Or maybe catch a film at the cinema?
Sarah, that would be lovely. Here's my number. Just give me a call. You too, Mark. Bye.
Bye. This call center is a swirling vortex of despair, a black hole of productivity, a soul-crushing, sanity-stealing, optimism-annihilating, existential crisis generator disguised as a place of business, a monument to the crushing weight of late-stage capitalism. Hi Sarah, how are you even remotely, vaguely, possibly, tolerably, marginally, barely close to functioning? I swear, I feel like I've aged about a geological epoch, specifically the late Devonian period, in the last 8 hours. My blood pressure is so high, I'm surprised the phone headset isn't spontaneously combusting and setting off the fire alarm, triggering a full evacuation, and giving us all a much needed, but probably temporary, and likely followed by even more frantic calls, reprieve from the incessant ringing.
Hi, Mark. I'm existing in a state of semi consciousness, bordering on a fugue state. That's about the best I can manage. I feel like I've been on autopilot, reciting the same mind numbing, soul destroying, utterly pointless, grammatically questionable script about our value added services for the last 8 hours straight. Enhance your experience with premium features and exclusive content available for a limited time only while supplies last, apparently. That's the only sentence I'm capable of uttering now, and I'm starting to question its validity. My brain is officially, irrevocably, permanently, irretrievably fried. It's reached the point where I'm starting to hallucinate hold music, specifically the elevator music version of Greensleeves that they play on an endless loop. A bit tired, actually. This morning was absolutely cataclysmic, apocalyptic, biblical, Shakespearean with calls. How about you? Any progress on that presentation that's looming over you like a malevolent, fire-breathing, paperwork-laden dragon guarding a horde of confusing spreadsheets, outdated training manuals, and motivational posters featuring kittens hanging from branches?
Progress? Ha! I'm less prepared now than I was this morning, yesterday, last week, last month, or possibly even since the Big Bang. This presentation is just hanging over my head like a giant, ominous, stress-inducing, perpetually raining, soul-sucking, creativity-draining, hope-extinguishing, joy-depleting cloud of impending doom, a veritable sword of Damocles made of PowerPoint slides and corporate jargon. It's about the new customer service strategy for the call center, and it's a complete and utter, unmitigated, bureaucratic, nonsensical, ill-conceived, poorly executed, fundamentally flawed, utterly ridiculous, downright insulting, morale-crushing, spirit-breaking, confidence-destroying disaster, to be honest. Upper management, in their infinite wisdom, or lack thereof, wants us to focus on personalized interactions, building rapport, creating a seamless customer journey, exceeding customer expectations, thinking outside the box, synergizing our core competencies, leveraging our brand equity, embracing disruptive innovation, and going the extra mile, but they haven't given us any concrete tools, training, or even a remotely coherent explanation of what any of those buzzwords actually mean in practice. It's all corporate jargon, empty promises, feel-good slogans, motivational posters featuring kittens hanging from branches, ironically, and self-help books with titles like Unleash Your Inner Customer Service Guru, designed to make them sound like they know what they're doing, when they clearly have no clue. I'm worried I won't explain it clearly to everyone, and even more worried that the strategy itself is fundamentally flawed, completely unrealistic, destined to fail spectacularly, will probably result in all of us getting fired, will likely be the subject of a scathing article in the local newspaper with headlines like, Call Center Chaos New Strategy Sparks Employee Revolt, and will likely be used as a case study in business schools for years to come as an example of what not to do. I mean, how are we supposed to build rapport with someone who's screaming at us about their international roaming charges when we're timed on every single call, penalized for excessive handling time, constantly monitored for adherence to script, forced to upsell them on services they don't need and can't afford, and generally treated like cogs in a machine rather than human beings?
I'm sure you'll do fine. You're always well prepared, even with all the distractions and chaos here.